Hello guys, Messenger of Death here. We're back once again with some more Dragon Age Origins, Nightmare difficulty playthrough. Last episode, we witnessed the vast horde clash at Ostagar, and we were saved apparently by somebody called Flemmeth. Or so Morrigan claims. Is there anything
You must
more
speak to
dialogue
Mother,
she
then be
has?
gone. You have an army of darkspawn to avoid, and 'twould be best to get an early start.
Is that right? Were my injuries severe?
Yes, but I expect you shall be fine. The darkspawn did nothing Mother could not heal.
What about Alistair? Is he alright?
He is, as you are. I suppose it would be unkind to say he is being childish.
Thank you for helping me, Morrigan.
You were welcome. Though Mother did most of the work, I am no healer.
Okay. I'll go then.
I will stay and make something to eat.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Catch you later.
See, here is your fellow Grey Warden. You worry too much, young man.
You're alive. I thought you were dead for sure.
I'm not, thanks to Morrigan's
This
mother.
doesn't seem real. If it weren't for Morrigan's mother, we'd be dead on top of that tower.
Do not talk about me as if I am not present, lad.
I didn't mean... But what do we call you? You've never told us your name?
Names are pretty, but useless. The chastened folk call me Flemmeth. I suppose it will do.
The Flemmeth? From the legends? Daveth was right. You're the Witch of the Wilds, aren't you?
And what does that mean? I know a bit of magic, and it has served you both well, has it not?
That's true. If you're Flemmeth, you must be very old and powerful.
Must I? Age and power are relative. It depends on who is asking. Compared to you, yes, on both counts.
Then why didn't you save Duncan? He was our leader.
I am sorry for your Duncan, but your grief must come later. In the dark shadows before you take vengeance, as my mother once said. Duty must come now. It has always been the Grey Warden's duty to unite the lands against the blight. Or did that change when I wasn't looking?
And it's hardly united thanks to Loghain.
That doesn't make any sense. Why would he do it?
Now that is a good question. Men's hearts hold shadows darker than any tainted creature. Perhaps he believes the blight is an army he can outmaneuver. Perhaps he does not see that the evil behind it is the true threat.
The archdemon.
Will you help us fight the fight this blight, Flemmeth?
Me? I am just an old woman who lives in the wilds. I know nothing of blights and darkspawn.
Well, whatever Loghain's insanity, he obviously thinks the darkspawn are a minor threat. We must warn everyone this isn't the case.
And who will believe you? Unless you think to convince this Loghain of his mistake.
He just betrayed his own king. If Al Eamon knew what he did at Ostagar, he would be the first to call for his execution.
You think the Jarl would believe us over Terran?
I suppose.
Or Terran?
Al Eamon wasn't at Ostagar. He still has all his men. And he was Kaelin's uncle. I know him. He's a good man, respected in the Landsmeet. Of course, we could go to Redcliffe and appeal to him for help.
Keep in mind that Loghain was also... No. And say he doesn't help us, what then?
You have more at your disposal than merely old friends.
Of course! The treaties! Grey Wardens can demand aid from dwarves, elves, mages, and other places. They're obligated to help us during a blight.
I may be old, but dwarves, elves, mages, this Arl Eamon, and who knows what else. This sounds like an army to me.
So can we do this? Go to Redcliffe and these other places and build an army.
I doubt it will be as easy as that.
And when is it ever?
It's always been the Grey Warden's duty to stand against the blight. And right now, we're the Grey Wardens.
So you are set then, ready to be Grey Wardens.
Well, I don't suppose you could offer any more help?
Now that you mention it, I do have one more thing to offer.
The stew is bubbling, Mother dear. Shall we have 2 guests for the eve, or none?
The Grey Wardens are leaving shortly, girl. And you will be joining them.
Such a shame. What?
You heard me, girl. The last time I looked, you had ears.
Thank you, but if Morrigan doesn't wish to join
Her
us...
magic will be useful. Even better, she knows the wilds and how to get past the Horde.
Have I no say in this?
You have been itching to get out of the wilds for years. Here is your chance. As for you, Wardens, consider this repayment for your lives.
Very well, we'll take it with
Not
us.
to look a gift horse in the mouth, but won't this add to our problems? Out of the wilds, she's an apostate.
If you do not wish help from us illegal mages, young man, perhaps I should have left you on that tower.
Point taken.
Mother, this is not how I wanted this. I'm not even ready.
You must be ready. Alone, these two must unite for Eldon against the darkspawn. They need you, Morrigan. Without you, they will surely fail, and all will perish under the blight. Even I.
Understand.
And you, Wardens. Do you understand? I give you that which I value above all in this world. I do this because you must succeed.
I understand. She won't come to harm with us.
Allow me to get my things, if you please. I am at your disposal, Grey Wardens. I suggest a village north of the wilds as our first destination. It is not far, and you will find much you need there. Or, if you prefer, I shall simply be your silent guide. The choice is yours.
Actually, I have some questions.
I may have answers. Ask.
What skills do you have exactly?
I know a few spells, though I am nowhere near as powerful as Mother. I have also studied history and your Grey Warden treaties.
Can you cook?
I can cook, yes.
And you can substitute for Alistair.
Right, my cooking will kill us. That's all I meant.
I also know at least 15 different poisons that grow right here in this marsh. Not that I would suggest 'tis at all related to cooking.
I love Morrigan as well. Morrigan and Alistair are such a pair. How are we going to get past the darkspawn?
The real question is how we are going to get your friend past the darkspawn, is it not?
That's true. We can sense the darkspawn. Conversely, they can sense us.
I don't sense any
You
darkspawn.
won't right away. No. It takes time. We should be able to sneak past smaller groups, but larger ones, or particularly intelligent darkspawn, will always detect us.
Mother has given me something else for them to smell instead as we pass by. It is important we head out of the wilds, however, not farther in.
Tell me about this village to the north.
It is a small place of little consequence called Lothering. No more than a stop along your Imperial Highway where travellers purchase goods from local farms and smiths. I would go more often were it not for the town's chantry. It makes the village particularly intolerant and unpleasant for a stranger such as me.
A chantry? And they never in all this time thought that maybe you were a witch?
Of course they have. They even called out their Templars once. They found nothing.
Have you ever been outside the wilds?
From time to time. I have been to the village I mentioned. watched its people, and pondered what curious beings they are. On occasion, I purchased goods from the village merchants. There I spoke with men a little. There they stared and knew me as an outsider. Mother wishes for me to expand the horizon of my experience beyond the wilds. Even she was not born here.
Are you are you really Flemmeth's daughter?
It was she who raised me, and thus I consider her my mother, born from her womb or not. 'Tis what you meant, yes?
She's just going to stay here alone, though.
Mother was alone long before I came, and will be so long after I am dead. Such is her choice, though I suspect she would claim the choice was made for her.
I have no more questions.
Farewell, Mother. Do not forget the stew on the fire. I would hate to return to a burned-down hut.
Bah! 'Tis far more likely you will return to see this entire area, along with my hut, swallowed up by the blight.
All I meant was...
Yes, I know. Do try to have fun, dear.
Okay, very nice. So we got some approvals out of this, which is good. That improves our relationship with them both, as well as we are getting a bunch of quests, and we have some new level ups. And again, I'm just going to pump all into magic. We want as much magical power as we can get. I'm going to take a single point in poison making. The reason why is because in order to use poisons, you need at least 1 point in it. However, I will not be crafting poisons with this character, but I will be using poisons in this playthrough, definitely. Now then, I can go for Mana Clash, which is obviously going to be very powerful and useful indeed. And Glyph of Paralysis is huge as well. I also might grab Rock Armor now as well, because the issue with my current issue that I'm currently dealing with is I am kind of going to need the defense. I'm taking a lot of damage right now. That's for sure. Then I'll get Mana Clash next time. Definitely. Definitely going to do that. Alistair, my friend. We need some more strength for you for now. Let us have a look. I'm definitely going to grab Master Combat Training. Increases our chance of basically... basically increases our attack and defense a little bit. So it increases our bit of survivability there. As for what skills we're going for here... and also, because you are going to be my tanky boy, we are definitely going to get shield defense as well. I feel like that would definitely be a huge help. Is there any items we can loot around here before we leave? Because if there's any like ingredients, alchemy or not, I want to grab them. But yeah, we will be using poisons on our mage, and that may sound strange. Why poisons? All will become clear soon enough. Morrigan, I'm probably going to build a bit more of a support mage, really. Which will definitely be fun. We only have one option of where we can go right now at the start of the game, and that's, unfortunately, as much as I would love to go to other places, I don't know why this is flashing, but, yeah, it's weird. Guess we'll go back to area map. Huh? What's...
As you wish.
Okay. I have no idea what the hell that was all about, but okay. We could also go to party camp, which is pretty cool. Something that I could go to instead of Lothering right away. So we have our own party camp where you can interact with companions and the like. We don't actually have a inventory stash right now, unfortunately, or anybody really of great use here other than we can speak to our companions a little bit and get to know them a bit more. Which is definitely going to be good, because I do want to build a good repertoire with my companions, especially Morrigan. I'm going to romance Morrigan in this playthrough. Let's ask you something.
You must.
How did you become a shape changer?
I was not born such. 'Tis a skill of Flemmeth's, taught over many years in the wilds. The chastened have tales of we witches, saying that we assume the forms of creatures to watch them from hiding. When a child is alone and separate from his tribe, that is when we strike, dragging the young boy kicking and screaming to our lair to be devoured. A most amusing legend.
Your mother has been doing this for a long time, then?
Changing her form, certainly. Devouring lost children, I cannot say. She has not done it in my experience, though in truth my lifespan is but a fraction of her own. Why do you ask? Is there something specific you wish to know?
Can anyone become a shape changer?
Anyone with sufficient will. But the act of transformation is a magical one. 'Tis a spell and thus requires a mage's talents. Indeed, you could learn the spells required if I cared to teach you.
Can you change into other human forms as well?
The form of an animal is different from my own. One may study the creature, learn to move as it does, think as it does. In time, this allows one to become as it is. I gain nothing by studying another human. I already am the same as they are. I learn nothing. So the answer is no, my human form is the only one I possess.
Very well. Do you spend a lot of time as an animal?
There were nights when the wilds called to me. 'Tis true. You look upon the world around you and you think you know it well. I have smelled it as a wolf, listened as a cat, prowled shadows that you never dreamed existed. But my life is as a human. I am under no illusions to the contrary.
And what do the other animals think of you when you changed?
They do not shy away from me. To their senses, I believe I seem like any other of their species. As to what they think, I truly cannot say. Just as I am still human, no matter my form, they are still animals. Thus they cannot speak, even were I to ask.
See, when I was younger and I played this game, I tried being a shapeshifter. The problem is, it is very limited in how potent it can be. However, I wouldn't mind trying a shape change build. I'm not going to do that this playthrough, definitely not. But it is also something that I really enjoy. Like, back in the day, I played vanilla World of Warcraft. Druids and whatnot. I love the ability to change into animals and fight. When I play D&D, I love my moon druids because we can transform into beasts and stuff like that. I love that aspect of combat. Sadly, I'm not going to do it this run. I may do another playthrough of this game in the future or something where I do play as a shape changer, and I'll try and make it work for Nightmare. I don't know how well that's going to go, mind you, but we'll try it. I've never heard of magic like this before.
No? 'Tis not unheard of in the remote corners of the world. There are traditions of magic outside of the circle of magi, despite what those mages would have you believe. Some of these traditions are old, indeed, passed down as carefully guarded lore from one generation to the next. The zealots of the chantry would uproot all such practitioners if they could. But as luck have it, some still exist. My mother is such a one.
By practice, such traditions need to be preserved.
I'm shocked that you think so. Being a mage of the circle as you were, but perhaps you felt a little like a caged bird as well, caught within that dark tower.
Yes, very much
I thought so.
So I wanted to
Indeed.
ask.
Have you an opinion on my abilities, then? Am I an unnatural abomination to be put to the torch?
I think your ability, maybe tied to a flagpole and tickled, that would just make you angry, I think. I really want to choose that. I think your abilities sound quite useful.
Oh, you're simply full of surprises, little man, aren't you? But enough of such talk. Let us proceed, lest the dust gather on us.
So, if you gain approval with her enough, I think she can teach you the specialization for becoming, transforming, mage.
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to ask you something.
If you must.
Can you teach others to become shape changers?
By others, do you mean yourself?
Yes, I am considering it.
Then I shall teach you what I can whenever
you.
we are in camp, provided you have the will to even make the attempt, that is.
Thank you. So we have a new specialization, which is shape changer. So now if I want to, when I level up, I don't remember which section it is. We're not changing party. What's going on? When we level up, we will get the option to choose the druid form as a possible level up option. I guess I can't see it right now because we haven't leveled up. Yeah.
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to ask you something.
If you must.
Did you grow up in the Kokari Wilds?
Why do you ask me such questions? I do not probe you for pointless information, do I?
You can probe me anytime.
Beg pardon then while I jump for joy. What is it you asked if I grew up in the wilds? A curious question. Where else would you picture me? For many years it was simply Flemmeth and I. The wilds and its creatures were more real to me than Flemmeth's tales of the world of man. In time I grew curious. I left the wilds to explore what lay beyond, never for long. Brief forays into a civilized wilderness.
You see. And you remained unnoticed?
For the most part. Flemmeth taught me well. For all that I had been taught, however, the truth of the civilized lands proved to be overwhelming. I was unfamiliar with so much. So confident and bold was I, yet there was much that Flemmeth could never have prepared me for.
Very daring, that sounds just like you.
Equal parts daring and foolhardy, perhaps. Only once was I accused of being a witch of the wilds, and that by a chastened who happened to be traveling with a merchant caravan. He pointed and gasped, and began shouting in his strange language, and most assumed he was casting some curse upon me. I acted the terrified girl, and naturally, he was arrested.
That was quick thinking.
Men are always willing to believe two things about a woman. One, that she is weak, and two, that she finds him attractive. I played the weakling and battered my eyelashes at the captain of the guard. Child's play. The point being that I was able to move through human lands fairly easily. Whatever humans think a witch of the wild looks like, 'tis not I. Not that I did not have trouble. There are things about human society which have always puzzled me, such as the touching. Why all the touching for a simple greeting?
Touching like a handshake?
To begin with, yes. What is the point of touching my hand? I find it an offensive intrusion. There were many nuances that Flemmeth could never tell me of. When to look into another's eyes. How to eat at a table. How to bargain without offending. None of these things I knew. I still do not understand it all, truth be told, but then I gave up long ago any hope of doing so. When I returned to the wilds last, I swore to Flemmeth that I had no intention of leaving again.
I'm glad it works out this way, at least.
Yes? Let's ignore the entire darkspawn threat and the presence of a simpleton as your only other Grey Warden ally, then. Not that I lack appreciation for the intent of your comment. Thank you. Well, let's get
You're
on with it
welcome.
before the ground opens up and swallows us, yes?
Okay, that'll do for now. I'm just getting some relationship with Morrigan because, yeah. Over time, when it comes to my characters, I want this to go to full, and I can romance Morrigan, and Morrigan can essentially be my partner. I can give her gifts to help boost this as well. Certain dialogue options also will modify and affect this as well. But yeah, she is the shape changer. I can learn the shape changer. There it is. Now it's showing up there for her. Until I put a point into it, though, it won't show up for me. I'll just have this show up. But yeah, it's gonna be very useful. Now I suppose we'll have a bit of a conversation with Alistair.
What do you need?
Do you want to talk about Duncan?
You don't have to do that. I know you didn't know him as long as I did.
I can even romance male companions as well. Not gonna romance Alistair, but I can still become good friends with him. That doesn't mean I don't mourn his loss.
I should have handled it better. Duncan warned me right from the beginning that this could happen. Any of us could die in battle. I shouldn't have lost it, not when so much is riding on us, not with the blight and everything. I'm sorry.
There's no need to apologize.
I'd like to have a proper funeral for him. Maybe once this is all done, if we're still alive. I don't think he had any family to speak of.
He had you.
I suppose he did. It probably sounds stupid, but part of me wishes I was with him, in the battle. I feel like I abandoned him.
You saved your life by sending you to the tower.
Yes. I know. I think he came from High Ever, or so he said. Maybe I'll go up there sometime. See about putting up something in his honor. I don't know. Have you had someone close to you die? Not that I mean to pry, I'm just...
I've lost enough to know what you're going through.
Yes, I imagine you really have, haven't you? Thank you. Really, I mean it. It was good to talk about it, at least a little.
He was a friend of mine too.
That's good to hear. It's nice to know I'm not the only one who remembers him well.
There we go, nice bit of friendship.
What do you need?
I'd like to ask you something.
Ask away.
What can a Templar do exactly?
Essentially, they're trained to fight. The Chantry would tell you that the Templars exist simply to defend. But don't let them fool you. They're an army. The other main purpose for a Templar is, of course, to hunt mages. To that end, we train in talents that drain mana and disrupt spells.
So, couldn't others learn these talents?
Perhaps, but there usually isn't much of an opportunity. The Chantry keeps a close rein on its Templars. We are given lyrium to help develop our magical talents, you see. Which means we become addicted. And since the Chantry controls the lyrium trade with the dwarves, well, I'm sure you can put two and two together.
Yeah, they basically use it like a leash. You don't do what they say, you get no lyrium. But you become so reliant on them, you have to keep going back to them. So you can't exactly just simply desert and walk away. That's horrible. I can't believe they would do that.
Well, they do it, and they feel perfectly justified. You don't need lyrium in order to learn the Templar talents. Lyrium just makes Templars' talents more effective. Or so I was told. Maybe it doesn't even do that. The Chantry usually doesn't let their Templars get away either, so they can spread their secrets. I'm a bit of an exception. Lucky me. What do you need?
I'd like to ask you something.
Ask away.
Can you teach others to be a
I
Templar?
suppose I could. But I really would rather not. When the Grand Cleric let Duncan recruit me, she made me swear never to reveal Templar secrets outside of the Chantry. I'd rather not go back on my word.
You don't think this is important?
Of course I do. It's just... I don't think you necessarily need Templar secrets to defeat the darkspawn. Ask me later, perhaps. Maybe I'll change my mind. This is not something small you're asking, after all.
Okay. So, I could keep conversating with them, and I really do want to, do not get me wrong. But for now, I think that's enough. We did a lot of conversating, you know? So it's a good bit of dialogue, already enough as it is. Actually, you know, I'll just make this episode about
What do you need?
interacting. We'll have like a 0.5 episodes where we just talk to people in camp and stuff like that. I feel like that'd be good. So if you're interested in the lore, you can watch these videos. If you're not, then, you know, stuff like that. And you can choose not to. It just make things simpler. Where are the nearest Grey Wardens from here?
That's a good question. There's plenty in Orlais, but who knows where they might be found. And the nearest Orlesian city is weeks away. If we go north and cross the sea, there's bound to be some in the Free Marches. Again, however, I just don't know where. I don't know anything about Grey Wardens in other lands.
Is there a headquarters somewhere?
Here in Ferelden, there's our compound in Denerim at the palace, but that's it. Loghain will have control over that and be watching it, no doubt. Beyond that, the only place I know of is Weishaupt Fortress. That's the headquarters of all Grey Wardens in the Anderfells, 1,000 miles from here. But I've no idea how to even contact them. So unless we try to get back to the compound in Denerim, I suppose the answer is no. There's nowhere for us to go.
So what happens now is just two of us.
I imagine that eventually the Grey Wardens outside of Ferelden will wonder what's happened. Why there's no contact from Duncan or someone. They'll send someone eventually. Though who knows what Loghain's people in Denerim will tell them. Maybe they won't send anyone. We could try to contact them. But that would mean leaving Ferelden, and even if we did, they couldn't come back with us in time to stop the blight. So that means whatever happens, it's up to us.
Well, we need to start rebuilding the Order.
I mean, eventually we would have to use the joining to make more Grey Wardens, right? But I don't know how to do the joining, or what's involved. I know it involves lyrium and some other magic, and that it's really difficult to prepare, but that's it. Unless we can find out more about the joining, I guess we better get used to the idea that there might only be two of us for now. Until more come from elsewhere.
What will happen if we just left?
Just left? You mean just left Ferelden? I don't know. If there's an archdemon, however, we're supposed to be the only ones who can defeat it. And that means the blight would grow unchecked. Eventually, other Grey Wardens in Orlais and other lands would hear about it, and they would come to fight it, but they wouldn't come in time to save Ferelden. There's no way. I'm not going anywhere.
I've no more
About
questions.
the Grey Wardens, anyhow. Fair enough. What do you need? Ask away.
I think once I've gone through all this dialogue anyway, I don't have to do 0.5 episodes, because I'll just be able to do little bits here and there. Because there are certain times when you come back from a quest or something, you can talk to them about what transpired and stuff like that. How did you become a Grey Warden?
Same way you did. You drink some blood, you choke on it, and pass out. You haven't forgotten already, have you?
Very funny.
I do my best. What can I say? Let's see, I was in the Chantry before. I trained for many years to become a Templar, in fact. That's where I learned most of my skills.
What skills might those be?
Well, it wasn't an easy life, you know. I don't know whether or not you've noticed, but I'm not exactly the Chantry type. The Grand Cleric didn't want to let me go. Duncan was forced to conscript me, actually, and was she ever furious when he did. I thought she was going to have us both arrested. I was lucky.
You think Duncan took pity on you? Think this is better than being Templar? Why did the Grand Cleric want to keep you?
I wondered that myself. It's not as if she valued me highly. I think she just didn't want to give anything to the Grey Wardens, is all. The Chantry didn't lose much. And I think I can do more fighting the blight anyhow, rather than sitting in a temple somewhere. I'll always be thankful to Duncan for recruiting me. If it hadn't been for him, you know, I wouldn't have.
He was a good man.
He was. A good man who didn't deserve his fate. That much I'm sure of. Come on, let's go. I think I'm done talking.
Fair enough. Well, we got a little bit of relationship with him. Don't think
What
there's
do you
really
need?
anything else I can glean.
Ask away.
Oh, Al Eamon.
Oh, did I say that? I meant that dogs raised me. Giant slobbering dogs from the Anderfells. A whole pack of them, in fact.
That would explain the smell.
Well, it wasn't until I was 8 that I discovered you didn't have to lick yourself clean. Old habits die hard, you know.
Thought the Chantry would have beat that out of you. Slobbery
Or
dogs,
did I
see.
dream all of that? Funny the dreams you'll have when you sleep on a cold, hard ground, isn't it?
I dreamed become the Grey Warden. Oh, wait.
Point taken. Let's see, how do I explain this? I'm a bastard. And before you make any smart comments, I mean the fatherless kind. My mother was a serving girl in Redcliffe Castle who died when I was very young. Al Eamon wasn't my father, but he took me in anyhow and put a roof over my head. He was good to me, and he didn't have to be. I respect the man, and I don't blame him anymore for sending me off to the Chantry once I was old enough.
Why did he send you... He wasn't your father, so you know who is?
I know who I was told was my father. He died even before my mother did, anyhow. It isn't important. Al Eamon eventually married a young woman from Orlais, which caused all sorts of problems between him and the king because it was so soon after the war. But he loved her. Anyhow, then you, Alistair, resented the rumors which pegged me as his bastard. They weren't true, but of course they existed. The Arl didn't care, but she did. So off I was packed to the nearest monastery at age 10, just as well. The Arlessa made sure the castle wasn't a home to me by that point. She despised me.
You're probably luckier than most
I
orphans.
suppose you're right. I wasn't raised as the Arl's son, though, if you're picturing that. I slept in hay, out in the stables, not on silk sheets. I remember I had an amulet with Andraste's holy symbol on it. The only thing I had of my mother's. I was so furious at being sent away, I tore it off and threw it at the wall and it shattered. Stupid, stupid thing to do. The Arl came by the monastery a few times to see how I was, but I was stubborn. I hated it there, and blamed him for everything. And eventually, he just stopped coming.
Are you sure he isn't your father?
Yes, I'm quite sure. At any rate, I don't look anything like him. You'll see for yourself. Not that it stopped the rumors any. All I know is that the Arl is a good man, and well loved by the people. He also was King Caelan's uncle, so he has a personal motivation to see Loghain pay for what he did. Anyway, that's really all there is to the story.
I see. Okay, now I've got all the dialogue out of Alistair. I guess I'll top up the last bit of dialogue from Morrigan as well. And that should do it, I think.
Yes?
So Life in the Wilds must have been very lonely.
At times, perhaps. A world full of people and buildings and things was all very foreign to me. If I wished companionship, I ran with the wolves and flew with the birds. If I spoke, 'twas to the trees.
That sounds wonderful.
For a time, but one can only remain a child for so long. I recall the first time I crept beyond the edge of the wilds. I did so in animal form, remaining in the shadows and watching these strange townsfolk from afar. I happened upon a noblewoman by her carriage, adorned in sparkling garments the likes of which I had never before seen. I was dazzled. This, to me, seemed what true wealth and beauty must be. I snuck up behind her and stole a hand mirror from the carriage. It was encrusted in gold and crystalline gemstones, and I hugged it to my chest with delight as I sped back to the wilds.
I can't imagine Flemmeth was pleased.
She was not. Flemmeth was furious with me. I was a child and had not yet come into my full power, and I had risked discovery for the sake of a pretty bauble. To teach me a lesson, Flemmeth took the mirror and smashed it upon the ground.
No.
I was heartbroken.
You were just a child.
And a foolish one. Flemmeth was right to break me of my fascination. Beauty and love are fleeting and have no meaning. Survival has meaning. Power has meaning. Without those lessons, I would not be here today, as difficult as they might have been.
They made you stronger, didn't they?
They did indeed. To return to your original question, perhaps my time in the wilds was indeed lonely, but such was how it had to be. I find myself at times wondering what might have become of the girl with the beautiful golden mirror, but such fantasies have no place amidst reality.
Hey, +9 approval. Let's go. I don't know the perfect choices for the dialogue for people, by the
Yes.
way. I'm just winging it.
So, full of questions, are you?
Have you ever been hunted by the Chantry?
You are very cute to ask so many questions.
And you were cute when you're evasive. You don't have to answer if you don't want
Of
to.
course I don't. 'Tis no matter. My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes, by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemmeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact. The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more.
I feel sorry for the Templars.
They came with as much swagger and arrogance as they did self-righteousness. Pity them if you wish, for they held none for us. Flemmeth would warn them once. 'Twas a warning they inevitably failed to heed. And then the true game began. Often Flemmeth would use me as bait. A little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the wilds and to their doom.
Did you actually kill them all?
Me? No, I never did any of the killing until later. And even then, Flemmeth was a glutton for that sort of thing. Thankfully, the wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemmeth would simply move us elsewhere, and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum.
They get what they deserve.
Perhaps they did. Still, I do not begrudge them doing what they believe is necessary. The Chantry sees any mages not leashed to the Circle of Magi as apostates. And apostates could become maleficarum, evil mages that resort to blood magic and become demon-enslaved abominations. It may even be true. Still, those of us who prefer freedom see no reason to submit.
I agree completely.
An interesting answer for a mage. Enough of this talk. Let us return to the task at hand.
Okay, that one was only a +1, sadly, but, you know,
Yes?
I'd like to ask you something.
So, full of questions, are you?
Is Flemmeth really what she seems to be?
Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be?
Human?
Oh, she certainly was human. Once. Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience.
I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Ah, I see. That does explain much. I can relay what Flemmeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire.
That sounds interesting.
As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemmeth was young and beautiful. A fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her.
How long ago is
Many
this?
centuries before this land was even named Ferelden. The tales say that Flemmeth fell in love with Osen the bard and fled the castle of her husband, the dread Lord Conabar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conabar the jealous lord who looked on from afar. Lord Conabar approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife, and Osen agreed.
He sold his wife to another man?
The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. 'Twas Flemmeth who suggested the arrangement. All would have been well had Lord Conabar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemmeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge.
So she truly loved Osen then?
That was not the point. Conabar had no honor, so she would not have him. Flemmeth begged the spirits to aid her, and 'twas they who slew Conabar. The demon the legend tells of came later. Lord Conabar's allies chased Flemmeth, you see. Chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemmeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies.
Which she never invaded or he never defeated her?
The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemmeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemmeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began.
The legend tells of Flemmeth having many daughters.
You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one. And these tales existed long before I did. Flemmeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed. So, should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too.
How is it that she has survived so long?
The demon within her has transformed her into something else. An abomination, perhaps some would say. I know not. I only know my mother is clever, and she is part of the wilds as it is part of her. But she is no immortal. She bleeds. A blade in her heart would kill her like any other, were it lucky enough to find her.
Do you believe her
I
version?
do not believe everything that Flemmeth claims. Oft it seems her bitterness has coloured her memories. But on the whole, yes, I believe this tale, if not all.
Aren't abominations usually insane horrors? An interesting story, thank you.
Flemmeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless.
I love her. What else do you want to know?
Nothing. I wish to know nothing more. I find myself a little envious, to tell the truth. But it matters not. Let us move on.
Okay, +5. One of your party members is going to genuinely like you and respect your leadership. As you improve your relationships with party members, head back to camp to speak with them. They'll be much more willing to open up when they don't have to worry about death around every corner. You'll need to talk to them more if you want to continue to improve your relationship. Track party members' approval ratings using the orange bar. So, this is why I am doing all this, because it does have an effect on certain things. I wonder if she has more dialogue now.
So, full of questions,
By that popping
are
up
you?
or not. Didn't we already do this?
I assume you were actually asking whether Flemmeth herself gave birth to me.
Oh, yeah,
Truly, I do not know. I once asked Flemmeth that very question, and she merely laughed at me. 'Tis not inconceivable that she could capture a chastened man, or perhaps change to a more attractive form to attract him willingly. I find it more difficult to imagine her with child.
Can an abomination ever even reproduce?
Who knows for certain? Flemmeth is unique in her fashion, providing that the tales of her legend are as she claims. And she claims little. I do know the tales of Flemmeth having many daughters, even though I have never met another. And Flemmeth has always treated me as her blood.
Calls you family abominations as a past 6 months, does he? She doesn't seem very motherly.
Must one be a doting and simpering moron to be considered a suitable mother? Flemmeth taught me everything I needed to learn. How to survive, the meaning of power, the truth of men. If other mothers do not teach these things, then I believe them the lesser.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
You suppose it's true. Take yourself. You do not honestly desire such things from me, do you? 'Tis better to be free of such cloying and cluttering delusions as love.
What if I did want
Then
that?
more the fool you, I think. I tire of this discussion. Let us move on, shall we?
So that didn't go very well. I'm gonna load because I'm trying to get this correct. I obviously tackled that question wrong.
Yes?
Let's ask you something.
So, full of questions, are you?
Tell me, you're really famous daughter.
assume
We can skip through all
It's
this.
not inconceivable that she could capture
Can an
it.
abomination even
I do
reproduce?
know the tales of Flemmeth having many daughters, even though I have never
Does that
met
mean you
another.
love her?
What an odd thing to say. Why must love enter into the equation? Flemmeth taught me everything I needed to learn. How to survive, the meaning of power, the truth of men. If other mothers do not teach these things, then I believe them the lesser.
Is there no place for nurturing and love?
Room for coddling and weakness? Why should such things be desirable? Take yourself. You do not honestly desire such things from me, do you? 'Tis better to be free of such cloying and cluttering delusions as love.
Why limit yourself?
I do not consider it a limitation. Not leaping into a burning building also happens to be an experience best avoided. I tire of this discussion. Let us move on, shall we?
Okay. How... There's got to be a correct answer for this. It can't just be an only negative option.
Yes? So, full of questions. I assume you are true. 'Tis not inconceivable that she could capture a... I do know the tales of Flemmeth having many daughters.
What if you have real family
I
out
would
there?
have nothing in common with them, nor any need for what they might provide. Flemmeth taught me everything I needed to learn.
Okay.
How to survive.
No, I see where you get
I
it from.
shall take this as a compliment. Was it meant as such?
Of course.
Oh? How interesting. You agree that love is a weakness, then? Take yourself. You do not honestly desire such things from me, do you? 'Tis better to be free of such cloying and cluttering delusions as love.
You're right. Love is so unnecessary.
I am glad you agree. I tire of this discussion. Let us move on, shall we?
Right. Okay, so that's a plus 11. How are we looking relationship-wise? interested. So, we're not quite there yet. But we'll move on from there. That's more enough dialogue. We got a lot of backstory and interesting stuff. I think this is like a permanent upkeep 40 for C5%. Cascade is not granted a bonus at time for long as this mod is active. And then we pop this. And then we pop this. And that leaves us with barely any mana, which is the only issue with doing this, unfortunately, for now. We need a way to nullify this. And that is going to be important going forward to nullify it. All three of us? Yep, please. Okay. Let's move on to Ferelden. In fact, I'll call the episode here. If you have enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. Peace.